Here.
We back. We are back. Happy Wednesday.
What's the deal?
How you feeling?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
I see
Can't complain.
Locks hat on, money, power, respect.
Money, power, respect, just like the Locks said.
Mm-hmm.
That is a fact, man. Shout out to the Locks. So much to cover. So little time.
It's a lot to go over this week for sure.
First and foremost, thank you to NVIDIA for the hospitality. Greatly appreciate it.
Love you guys dearly.
Another one. Tomorrow, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Man, first and foremost, thank you to everybody that watched that Julian Brown episode.
Tough.
Man, those clips been going viral. One of the clips got 3.5 million views. Episode 100,000.
Which one about not getting a patent?
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
One of the ones.
And then I seen the other clip pages posting it. So told y'all that was going to be one of the ones. So I'm glad that people really gravitated towards that because he dropped gems throughout the whole entire episode, like nonstop. He's a brilliant mind. But tomorrow, we got one of our favorite people and somebody that's really changing the game for Gen Z and especially for women. Jada Sheaves.
Icon living. Another icon.
Y'all could hate, but it's not going to work.
Consistency is king. The CPMs on hate is very low.
That's a fact.
I've been talking to all the little YouTube creators, TikTok, Patreon. The CPMs on the hate, we'll talk about it later. That wave of negative content is slowly dying now. I know some of you keep pushing back, but if you look at the top 100 shows in history, they are not negative facing. They're not negative leaning, but do what you want.
That's a fact. But yeah, check that out tomorrow. Jada, like I said, she got the young world on lock, and she's really smart, man. We interviewed her for Assets Over Liabilities about 4 years ago, and to see her growth over the last 4 years, she came to InvestFest. She talked about how she's using Claude every single day, personal AI agent. How it's helped grow her fashion brand. She's selling out online. Crazy thinking about going to stores. We talked about real estate. You know, she had some issues with buying a home, so she documented that as far as the mistakes that she made in being young. And, having money and buying a home and dealing with real estate agents and all that stuff. We talked about marketing. We talked about social media. We talked about being a parent to a famous kid because her son is famous now.
For sure.
A lot, man. Like I said, Jada, she got a good spirit, good energy. So, tap in tomorrow, 12 o'clock. Man, this is
combination.
This might be our best year for EYL as far as the run. I seen Ian Schwartzman put a clip up yesterday from Tyrese talking about his episode. It's been a lot of classics this year on the Earn Your Leisure side. You
guys have been shooting at a high clip. Efficiency is crazy. And I like the one Good Business episode and then to swing back to her.
Oh, you see?
I see cross, twin, combination. I learned that's why my New York interview run, business, now I'm going to go do some, come back, both audiences. Got you.
I like that you picked that up.
Duopoly.
That's a fact. That's definitely the strategy for sure.
I love it.
Any announcements, Ian?
Thank you to everyone in the video. Appreciate you dearly. See you this Saturday in Atlanta for Black Effect. Kudos to Charlamagne, Dolly, whole Black Effect team. You guys are absolutely amazing. Stock Club call Sunday at 9 p.m. Central. We are going to once a month for the time being. I miss talking to you guys every week, but I promise you this will be worth the wait. Got a full lineup presentation for production. So see you on the call on Saturday. And if I made you money, please put yes in chat. Let's have an amazing show.
Let's get it.
I love to duopoly play though.
A little bit of this.
A little bit of that, because most can't do it.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Got to catch every audience.
For sure. Chimera, word of the week, to be a combination of things.
For fact. And Saturday we will be at Westchester County Center. Myself and Troy, we speaking at an event. Shout out to Dave, Health is Wealth seminar. So if you're in Westchester, New York area, then check us out. We're in I think we speak in the morning time on Saturday at the Westchester County Center.
That's crazy. That's dope.
All right, let's get to it. So,
we had an amazing guest last week. I do want to start here and ask you a question real quick. Why do you think online people had pushbacks about his claims? Like, we're in such a hypercritical movement now, and I'm like, I don't know why. Because if you went through Dr. Sebi, if you went through Yaki's story, you've seen the transformation. But just why do you think so many people push back on everything that you can? You can say, yo, if you bought NVIDIA 6 years ago, it'd be this. They're like, well, what about now? I feel like culture has got to such a critical place, and for a person that's so good, I hated seeing that. Why do you think people were so critical of his takes last week?
It's two parts to it. I think you have the social media crowd and you have the show crowd. So I don't really cater toward the social media crowd, to be honest with you.
I got you.
They don't have the full context. If anybody that watched the show, I don't think there was a lot of criticism from the people that actually took the time to watch the show in its entirety. Now, if you have no perspective, you didn't watch the show, you didn't hear the hour that he actually spoke, and you just saw a 80-second clip about losing 60 pounds in 10 days, then yeah, you're automatically just going to disregard it. But like I said, I personally cater to the show audience.
Yeah.
Market Mondays, Earn Your Leisure, Blackout, like these are the people that
Red Panda.
take the time to consume the content long form. If you notice, most of the time, you read YouTube comments versus social media comments, they're different.
Yeah, I agree.
So, we live in a skeptical world. I get it, but I would just suggest that if you do have some questions about things, take the time out of your day to actually hear somebody out in its entirety. Mm-hmm. And I think, because even Julian, people had negative comments to say about certain things that we put up about that episode. But if you read the comments on YouTube, they're like, yo, this is best interview of the century. So it's like, sound bites. Oh, that leads me to another point. If are we done with this topic?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Sound bites, because of the 19 Keys situation. 19 Keys, actually, can we play that clip of
oh my God, yeah, we have to.
Can we play that clip, please?
In a 2024 podcast interview, you suggested that Black children on ADHD medication should be reparented.
That was Alabama Congresswoman Terry Soule during a House hearing on Thursday. She was pressing Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. over comments he made about reparenting Black kids on ADHD medications.
I doubt that I said that right now. Absolutely. I'm not going to answer something that I didn't say.
You are not a doctor, have no formal medical training, and you've never parented a Black child. And yet you are suggesting that the federal government should take Black children away from their families and reparent them and send them off to some wellness farm instead of providing them with evidence-based.
You're just making stuff up.
I am absolutely not making this up.
Here he is on the podcast High Level Conversations with 19 Keys when he was running for president.
Psychiatric drugs, which every Black kid is now just standard put on Adderall, SSRIs, benzos, which are known to induce violence. And those kids are going to have a chance to go somewhere and get reparented, to live in a community where there'll be no cell phones, no screens. You'll actually have to talk to people.
Now, despite Kennedy's comments, research suggests that across all mental health conditions, Black children tend to be less likely to receive treatment compared with white children, including antidepressants. And some experts say these drugs may be associated with irritability, but not necessarily violence. And every patient is different. But Kennedy's comments, they raise questions around his views on medicine, mental health, and race.
Even today, Black children are removed from their homes at higher rates than white children, not because of their greater harm, but because of long-standing bias and built-in institutionalism. For you to suggest that Black families are not capable of raising their own children is deeply offensive.
Okay, so this is interesting because this is going viral. This is on The View.
Yeah.
They talked about it in Congress. And, that clip that we showed from CNN, where they said a bought podcast, and they were referring to 19 Keys High Level Conversation on Earn Your Leisure Network. And I told Keys this, and I told Charlamagne this as well. This is scary because that's how quickly you can just paint a narrative.
Yep, and lead to deplatforming as well.
Yeah. So it's like the lady that said that, I'm pretty sure she has no idea about high level conversations, right? Mm. She didn't do no research on her end. She just heard a soundbite. And I'm not even an RFK fan, but it was taken out of context. What he was saying was that there's a lot of Black kids unproportionately that get diagnosed for medication. That's a fact.
Which is very true. Dr. Umar said this for 15 years. It's very true.
So he was saying that instead of just rushing to put them on medication, why don't we try other holistic, and that's part of a broader conversation. But they clipped that up and it made it sound crazy, like he wants to take Black children from their parents and send them to farms and
yeah.
And Keys ain't even going to go for that. Like if he's talking crazy like that on his show, he's not even going to let that happen. But like I said, that made it to Congress. So they made up a whole narrative about this situation. Then that's irresponsible for her to say, abort podcast. This is what I told Keys as well. And that's when I'm starting to question everything. Even on the Republican, because there's like a lot of right-wing influencers have been paid. I don't even know if that's true because I never got offered a check. So we have
right-wing
from anybody.
Wait, are you right-wing? No, hold on.
No, I'm not. I'm not any wing. But what I'm saying is that you hear this so much about, they bought, they paid, they got, and like I said, she said it so casually. She said it so casually, abort podcast with no proof. This is disturbing because this is a member of Congress, right? So for her to just throw that out so casually, you playing with people's livelihood and you playing with people's reputation. People worked hard to build the platform. You're just saying that it's a bought podcast because he said something that you didn't agree with without even having the full context of what he actually said. That's dangerous. And that lets you know we're in an age of misinformation. We're in the age of people just taking any soundbite and running with any story that they want, creating any narrative that they want, labeling people whatever they want, putting jackets on people that they don't even deserve to have it. Because like I said, I keep hearing about these podcasts that's being bought. Well, where's the checks at? Because I didn't get a check. I didn't even get offered a check. So we have Market Monday.
You want a check?
Earn Your Leisure, Blackout, InvestFest. No, what I'm saying is that if we were not offered a check, right?
A lot of the right wings, Theo Vaughn came out and said he got paid. There's a few.
But what I'm saying is at mass, at scale.
Oh, yeah.
The way that the narrative is being pushed, I don't know about that. I don't know about that because like I said, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it with my own eyes.
I think it's dangerous also too. How do you think Robert F. Kennedy handled the interview and the questioning about the show?
How did he handle it in front of Congress?
Yeah.
I think he was genuinely confused because he does so many interviews. I don't think he actually, because sometimes somebody will tell you something and you be like, damn,
did I say it?
You start to question whether you said it or not. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then you might question the context and what you said. You might have forgot. I think he was genuinely confused.
Yeah.
I think he was genuinely confused. I don't think that he actually fully remembered because in that podcast is like 2 hours long too. So
minimum. Yeah.
And he does a lot of podcasts. He came on Market Mondays.
Yeah.
I think that he handled it to the best of his ability. And like I said, I'm not even an RFK fan, but I'm going to call bullshit when I call bullshit. We talk about the MAGA a lot. I got to call it the Democrats out on this. This was a Democratic, this was done by the Democratic left-leaning machine. And this was a witch hunt that has no context at all. And they went about it the wrong way to label 19 Keys show a bought podcast.
And on top of that, when there's degradation in a society, one of the things that happens is propaganda pops up a lot more. I'm not just saying it's just because I like Keys, I like the show, I like you guys. Like you said, it was out of context, and I don't see them going as hard about the right-wing association to MAGA and the things that have been said there over the last 2 or 3 years. So why call out one of our great thought leaders over something someone else said when they're going to go on a podcast run for their elections? So Democrats, get it in order. But I kept asking last 3 years, who's the next star? I got to give it to you. I think they found one.
They got one.
Do you think after his mayoral run is over, that Mondami is going to run for president of the United States of America?
You know, I just saw an interview today that he said that he would never run for president, which politicians say that all the time.
All the time. Tucker Carlson said things 2 weeks ago.
So yeah, he said he would never run for president. I think that he's the biggest star in the Democratic Party.
By far.
He's making all the, all right, you might not agree with him, but if you agree with him, he's making all the right moves. Like if you're on his side, he's making all the right moves. He did that Instagram post in front of who was it? Ken Griffin, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Ken Griffin's penthouse in Manhattan said, look, anybody that's anybody that makes over $5 million, a $5 million property that does not live in the city full time, we're going to add an extra tax. Who's going to disagree with that? Like, and that's what he campaigned on. He promised that universal daycare, making the buses free. Like, and he got a lot of charisma. He's very tapped in culture. He's social media. He's running the social media campaign. When you see President Obama reading children's books at a kindergarten with him, it's a great sign. He's not with no other Democrat.
Nope. Nope. Not sitting. I mean, he did read what he needed to do last election and all that real quick. But sitting side by side, that's an indicator.
I think Mondani is positioning himself, if not this time, because Gavin Newsom, I mean, they've been pushing him for 6 years now, so he might have to go ahead. He might have to wait his turn. Mondani might have to wait his turn. But at some point, mark my words, at some point, he will run for president, and he might win.
And the important thing about time, and this is a business lesson too, you have to know when the pendulum is swinging, when to attack. So everyone went super hard on capitalism. We had that conversation last week. And the crazy part is China pulled a nation out of poverty with a different system. But I just think it's interesting that the timing that we're in, I'm tired of beating up on Gavin Newsom, but I think he may be the Evan Bayh. I think the Q score for Mondani and likability is so high, you may have to just be skipped because the Democrats, they need a win. They need somebody who can get a political bucket, and he seems to be the only one. AOC had a moment. I don't think it's there. And I don't even know if the Democratic Party will get behind a woman long enough to push her into prominence. But I do see in the climate that we're in, given how much tumult there is in the economy, someone who has a more blended agenda has a great chance of winning. And the crazy part is it's a lot of capitalists who want more socialist ideals in America now. Like when we keep flip-flopping about if Iran, the strait is closed, if we're going to end this war, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, everybody can agree this war has been wasteful. And it's a lot of market manipulation. Like for the first time in history, people are outside of Bernie Madoff. People are openly talk about how much market manipulation there is in the market. And they're afraid whether you have 1 million, 100 million or $1 billion at scale. And there's some change that's needed. It reminds me, it's not as dramatic, but it reminds me of that shift from Bush to Obama for sure. So great assessment on your end.
Yeah, but put in chat. What do you think? What do you think about, like, because I mean, people would be hard pressed to name 5 Democrats right now. Like, I mean, Bernie Sanders, AOC, Gavin Newsom, Mondani.
Mm-hmm. You don't have 5 Avengers.
So, I mean, it's not like you got too many options. And like I said, I think he's doing everything that he said he was going to do, and he's doing it with charisma. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see and he's making friends with his enemies. He went to the White House, had a very productive conversation with Trump. Trump seemed to love him.
Yeah. They seem buddy.
Yeah, he got a great relationship with Trump. Mm. The other dude, he ran Siva. He ran against him for mayor. That the Angels dude.
Yeah.
They did a commercial together.
Yep. That's a great business lesson too, especially in this climate. It's not advantageous to go to war. Only arms dealers and Palantir win when there's wars. Going back to the negativity part, there's more money in collaboration and at least having peace treaties than there is thinking you're going to be a lone wolf and burn the whole world down. So he's playing his cards perfectly to not have any. Because on that liabilities list that people don't talk about in branding, there's the number of enemies you have. He's doing a good job of even keeping them happy.
That's a fact.
For the time being.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move into this parenting conversation, shall we?
And real quick, and while y'all calling something paid, you are advocating against the people that can help save a bunch of y'all election time or even help the party.
Exactly.
That's crazy as hell.
And that was the stupidest part, because they did an article last election cycle where they was talking about the rise of right-wing propaganda podcasts. Mm-hmm. And they named The Breakfast Club. They named 19 Keys. They named Earn Your Leisure.
Yeah.
And a few others. And I was just like, I had talked to some of the people that I knew in the Democratic Party, and I'm like, y'all hurting yourself, because you calling us a right-wing propaganda podcast. That's the label that you've given us, because we might have had Tim Scott on, or because we might have said something about the Democratic Party. Like, you should be embracing us and saying, what do we need to fix?
Yes.
Like, you trying to
defame
the people that are in position to actually help you.
Absolutely. And I kept saying it. If y'all wouldn't have got Plies, and that was your main strategy, and then put Megan on stage, it was over before the fucking match even started. Tap in with the people who have audiences that are trusted, and because that's what the right did. They tapped into Joe and Chamath and Calacanis and Rogan. And they went down a list, and sometimes Like if you're the program and you come down and talk to the humanoids and the humans, it humanizes you and it aggregates. I don't know who's planning things on the Democratic side, but the political strategy that they ran last election should be the main things you guys are doing right now. And it got to feel authentic. And a lot of people who were Democrats, you pushed into Republican arms last election.
And they gave them funding. Best believe. I was talking to you. Don't think Charlie Kirk just got this big out of nowhere?
Bro,
like they gave them infrastructure funding, like
to help cultivate the next, from what I heard, allegedly for the next 16 to 20 years for that party.
Yep.
Yep. They're not thinking in 2-year cycles. They're thinking 20 down the line.
Yeah. So a lot of some of the Democratic, you guys doing things backwards. But
what can you do?
Okay. But there's always room to change course. So you just got to just be aware. Like I said, I don't want to beat down the politicians because we do need the politicians as well, but I just want them to be more educated. Like I said, that's the last thing I'll say. To the sister, I don't know the congresswoman, so I'm not going to defame her. But I would just hope that the sister could just be a little bit more educated when speaking about a generation that she might not be familiar with. Like, educate yourself on millennials and what's actually happening, people that's actually helping. For you to just disregard his platform as saying abort podcast, that's very disrespectful and is demeaning to the work that he's done for over a decade. And he's helped a lot of people. So that's what causes young people to have disregard for older people, because they feel like they just very dismissive.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Like, think about things before you actually say it. Ask your staff, ask your younger staff, look it up, ChatGPT, research things about, because sometimes by accident you just go on with things and you don't necessarily know what you're talking about, and it could be offensive.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%.
Let's talk about parenting, shall we?
Okay.
Let's play this clip from the brother Akon. Shout out to Akon. Let's play this clip from the brother Akon.
Viral for saying that going to school recitals and being at every little event is a white man's thing.
Yeah.
How do your kids feel about that?
Oh, I mean, they understood afterwards.
Yeah.
Because this is the thing, right? If you are trying to change the world as a man that got a purpose that God gave you, there's no way you're going to make time for that.
Right.
And it could be the most insensitive thing to say, but that's actually the role of the mother.
Right.
That's a part of raising the child in the home, right?
Right.
And school and nurturing them to become an adult to where they can now be out there changing the world.
Right.
If the father has to play that role, he won't never be able to honestly make his purpose on earth. Like, my kids know when I do have that time, we together.
Yeah.
They know this. But they also know when I'm traveling the world, I'm not gonna make every birthday. I'm not gonna make every graduation. I'm not gonna make every piano recital or the basketball games or whatever. But when you pick up that phone and say, Dad, I got a situation, I need some advice, I got this, I need that, or I need something, 2 minutes is there, they know I'm doing the part that I'm supposed to play. But I always believe that there's two roles that you have to play. And raising that child is the mother's role.
Right.
The man's role is to provide, protect, and to discipline. When they ain't listen to their mother, that's when I get the call.
Yeah.
All right, now we got a problem. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because she's my voice when I'm not there. But the moment you disrespect her voice, now you disrespected mine. Now we got an issue. Yeah. So it's certain roles. But what happens is, in America specifically, in certain parts of Europe, they kind of demasculate the man to the point where he feels like he has to play roles that feminines play. So now the son don't even respect the dad like that, because his strength ain't strong. Like his position ain't strong. Because there's layers there that kind of make him soft. And I hate to say it that way. Maybe I'm not pronouncing it or explaining it right, but there has to be a role where the man's fist is ironclad,
right,
and the woman's touch is soft as cotton.
Right.
And you have to be able to distinguish those two.
That's right.
So you can't say, okay, because my dad wasn't there, that he ain't doing his part. Because guess what? If he wasn't doing his part, you wouldn't even be in a position for him to be there.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just had to make that super, super clear.
Okay, Justin LaBoy, what it is? That's the brother too, man. Shout out to Justin. Akon, that's the bro.
This is a hot take.
Very hot take, because he said before, for full context, a few years ago, he said something to the effect: recitals and soccer practice, that's what white fathers, something like that. Like, that's not the African way.
Mm-hmm. And what are your thoughts?
He gave a further explanation on this. Okay. He's not entirely wrong in what he's saying. messaging is important because we can talk about the other, them, I don't want to get her name wrong. 3 hour parent mom.
Oh yeah. Emma Green.
Emma Green.
Yeah.
She made a very controversial statement similar to this, actually.
She's been making some waves.
But about how, 3 hours, she's 3 hours a mom every day, only 3 hours out of the day.
Uh-huh.
So what he's saying is, and like I say, you got to look at it from the perspective of in the world. Akon is a very traditional African man in a few ways. But
for sure, quite a few we can talk about. But we shout the boo, but we won't.
Yes, but from this context, it's one of these things of like a lot of what I've seen, and I don't want to overgeneralize, but a lot of especially African parents, the household is very traditional, where the father might not be extremely hands-on per se, more traditional. The mother's the nature caregiver, the father is out in the world, taking care of things, just paying bills. That they show love differently. I saw somebody that said that they was like, their father never told them that they loved them.
Mm.
They never hugged them. The father never hugged them. The father was there, made sure that every bill was paid, made sure that, and he was like, that was his way of saying that he loved them. But how he wants to do it with his children is he wants to do both.
Yeah.
Because he realizes that he did miss, he wanted validation from his father. He wanted his father to tell him, but his father was more militant, and that wasn't how he expressed love. Mm. But he was like, he did love his family, but he showed his love through acts of service, not through words of affirmation, not through, different way like that. So what Akon's talking about, and let me get this out there too. Y'all not Akon. Akon is a multi-millionaire superstar artist who's traveling the world, who's on tour. The average person, I don't want to hear you. I ain't going to see my kids for 3 weeks because I gotta, no, you don't have anything else to do. You're not traveling to Asia. You're not on a world tour. You're not recording an album. So let's get that clear. You should be there for your kids. Vitally important to be present, physically present for your children. That's vitally important. It's also vitally important to give words of affirmation to your children. And it's also vitally important to be there for things that may not be big to you, but like a recital or a practice or graduation.
Or play. Yep.
Anything that you can, I will say this, anything that you can be there for, you should be there. Now, what he said that was actually true is that, especially if you're reaching a certain level of success, you're going to get pulled in a lot of different directions, and there are sacrifices that's going to be made. And a lot of times the sacrifices that you're not going to be there as much as you would like.
Is that a mistake though? Because behind the lens of a millionaire, if you have more, and I agree, you get pulled a bunch of different directions. There's ebbs and flows in schedule. But if you have amassed a certain amount of wealth, why is it so hard to say, because I do it all the time in business, no, I don't want to do this. It's one of my big reasons for not wanting meetings. I want to be more efficient, so when it's time to have time with my son, I can make the time and not be bogged down by other people's shit. And I think sometimes because we grew up in an archaic way, we have to adapt. And we know it's wrong to not be present and spend time. So I like Akon a lot. And I agree with you. Like, to the people in the audience watching, don't be like, yo, I'm going to adapt this thing so I can get the bag. Because that's not the way. The real bag is having some money, but having peace inside of your home. And more importantly, having the respect of your family. But I got to be real. I get tired of people who are rich saying that I don't have time for my family because I have to get more riches. And we see them outside with every bitch on earth. Not Akon. Just in general. Not Akon. For real. Shout the bull, shout the convict, shout the whole egg. Right? Because y'all see Akon now. I was in Atlanta in 05, 07. Remember how that was, me, back in the day? Ooh. Anyway, so I think the right thing to do is to carve out time and say no to some of the non-essential business shit so you can be there. Now, when I have to travel, I get it. But then when I come back home, I'm right back to spending time, practice. And a lot of times boys look for validation from the streets. It brings me to that whole Gucci Pooh Shiesty situation. Again, a lot of times men are running to the streets to look for validation they didn't get in a home from their fathers. I see it in my son, like me just being present with him. A lot of I see the other kids where their dad isn't as present or not around. They're looking for validation from other sources because they're dying for that shit inside their home and attention, and they're not getting it.
What's the balance? What is the balance Because I will say this. There's also value add of your son being proud of who his father is.
For sure. And it's not talked about enough. It matters a lot.
That takes sacrifice.
Mm-hmm. But the first sacrifice shouldn't be the family.
But it's inevitable. It's inevitable.
Not 3 months or 4 months worth of sacrifice.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. What is the balance? What is the balance? What is the balance?
I think everybody has to figure it out. But I think once you get to that 3-4 week span where you're not seeing, not active, you're going to deadbeat territory for me.
That brings the next question.
Mm-hmm.
How do you define deadbeat? How do you define a deadbeat? Because, okay, what is a deadbeat? If you're financially taking care of somebody, right?
Yeah.
And you see the kid sporadically.
Define sporadic. Once a month?
Yeah, once a month, something like that.
You're just a paid up deadbeat.
Are you a deadbeat though? Because if you are financially paying bills, let's say you're paying all the bills, right? You're paying all the bills, you're paying the school, the mother's taken care of, the child's taken care of.
Most are doing that.
I always look at a deadbeat as somebody that's not doing anything. You're not, and part of the doing anything is you're not financially helping at all. Like you're not financially helping at all, and you're not physically present. Now, what if it's one of the two? What if you're physically present? Because that happens a lot too. Somebody be there with their kid every single day, playing wiffle ball, be the best father in the world, dead broke. Child support, $50 a month, child support.
But the child doesn't feel like a child only knows that they're broke or poor if other people tell them.
And the mother's going to tell them. Your father hasn't done it. Your father has not bought you anything in 4 years. The mother's going to tell them that eventually, 100%. And she's going to tell her father, and she's going to tell her father too. She's going to tell her father on himself too.
For sure. So
is he a deadbeat?
If he's if you pay and you're not present, you're a deadbeat. And most men who say, "Yo, well, I pay all the school, I pay all the this, all the that," that's really not true for the most part. I hear a lot of men say that, and then the complaints come out. Like you can do one or the other, you still are lacking. And a child needs both.
So okay, so if you pay and you're not there, you're a deadbeat. If you're there and you don't pay, are you a deadbeat?
You definitely have areas. I wouldn't say deadbeat, but you have areas of improvement. And the answer is you need to be able to do both. Because if you're just and most men aren't paying what we're paying in child support.
No, 100%.
And having to be 100%. Present. So audience, you tell me, a lot of times when men saying that they're doing X, Y, Z, they won't complain that much if you're overgiving, how you say. But in order to raise a child, especially a boy that's going to develop into a young man and a man, there's lessons that will be taught to him that money can't buy. And a lot of times, a lot of men are leading with the money with children because that's what they're doing with the bitches. And I'm going to be honest. Y'all get mad if y'all want to. I don't care because I know what I pay a year for my child. Y'all take these randoms off Instagram to more places than you do your kids. I don't have no respect for that.
But the average person's not doing that.
The average person's not doing what?
It's a recession. The average person is not just finding a girl on Instagram and flying them out.
Shit. It'd be more randoms offering the baddies the money than to be the ones who up.
Let me ask you this. Let me say this. Because this is a good educational conversation because a lot of men were not educated on parenting.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I've even heard people say this to me before, like, look, I do everything for my kid. Like I buy my kid every Jordan when it comes out, sneakers. I'm there. I'm taking basketball practice. I'm buying them clothes. I'm doing all this shit. And my baby mom's still crying. She still asks me for money. I'm like, I'm not giving no money. I'm there. And I'm like, okay, well, financially, how much money are you giving her? And they like, yo, I'm like giving her a couple $100s a month. And I'm like, yeah, that's not enough. But that's important to understand because somebody might psychologically, they might look at it like, look, if I'm physically in my child's life and I am buying them things, right? And I am, when they're with me, they're taken care of. Why do I have to give the mother something? This is education. A man talking to other men, if you're interested in listening. The reason why is because if you're not the primary caregiver, there's responsibilities on the primary caregiver that's not on the other parent, right?
For sure.
Primary caregiver, you have the kid 5 days a week, 6 days a week, right? So the financial responsibilities that you have as a primary caregiver is going to be different than you picking the child up on the weekend.
On the weekends, and just even in time sacrifice.
So, but that's important for you to understand.
Mm-hmm.
So if she's asking you for money, don't necessarily take it as like she's trying to be greedy. because there is a lot of finances that you may not be fully aware of because you're not with the child all the time. Although I do applaud you for being in your child's life, and I'm proud of you that you stood up to the bat to be a father, you don't have a full understanding what it takes to raise a child because you're not with the child full time.
Full time, yep. Just the time load that it takes, that the homework, if they have 5 friends that come over and now it's pizza party time and now you're giving your kid, like my mom did this, it's like, okay, what? Get the rim, have all your friends come here. But when your friends come over, they're hungry. Then y'all go out. It's a combination of things. So I think just giving financially is not enough. If you're in a place to be able to give, that's great, but you really need both. And to the crowd who keeps saying, well, parenting is hard, I agree. But there are plenty of books, resources, podcasts, like on raising children and how to navigate these. You have to choose to invest in learning the information, like raising your